are going live on day 2 of the Opposite of Hustle. So just very briefly, maybe some of you couldn't attend yesterday, haven't caught the replay, that's totally fine. Yesterday we spoke about hustle, we spoke about how, actually before I start chatting, it would be really useful if someone could pop in and say that, Vicky, we can hear you, we can see you, you're looking at the right place. I've got like a few screens now, so it's gotten more complicated. So just let me know before I start yapping away at you that you can hear me and see me and things are working on a technical point of view at least. I think it's working. I can see. Hi, thanks Susan. Can you hear me? I'm guessing you can hear me. So good. Can see me too. Perfect. Thank you. So today we're talking about the opposite of hustle round 2, and I was just starting preemptively. Thanks, Lindsay. Saying that maybe some of you missed yesterday, and yesterday we really spoke about what hustle is, what hustle is not. You can go back and watch that video for more detail, but the basic premise is hustle is not actually about the number of hours we work. Thanks, Bridget. It's not about the number of hours we work. It's not about the days of the week that we work. It's not about the times or the hours that we work or the number of tasks that we do. Hey! It's really about our intention behind it. So often those are the indicators that we are in hustle mode if we are working late nights and weekends and evenings, but sometimes we can plan to do that, and so that in itself is not an indication of hustle. We went through the hustle model. Hey, Kathleen. Went through the hustle model. I had you guys create hustle models. I saw them in the group. They were fucking amazing. Nice work. And really the main difference is doing things because we are attaching our worth, our value, our enoughness to external results, and or doing things because we think that like life is going to magically be better once we do those things. So once I get there, then I'll be good enough. Once I'm there, then I'll feel happier. So that's the little recap of what we spoke about yesterday, but I do really recommend going back and watching the video if you haven't, because it's done in stages. I've done this in 3 stages on purpose. And stage 1 is really to get to know your hustle model. Like when you are onto yourself and you know how you show up in that mode, you are so much better equipped to recover from it and tackle it. And as we saw yesterday, action taken in hustle does not create results. Okay, now we know hustle isn't working. What are we going to do instead? The first thing that we want to look at is like, why is the hustle not working? And in fact, I encourage all of you to start typing why you think hustle doesn't create results. And I've got a few. I looked at your models and the work that you've done, but I'm also going to start speaking some out to you. Feel free to add. I really do encourage you all to engage in this training. Super informal, and you know my drill. It's like there's watching and then there's doing, and the doing accelerates our results. So why do you think hustle doesn't work? Here's some of the things that hustle creates. Confusion, doubt. It's very distracting. We distract ourselves with a lot of multitasking, like on purpose multitasking, even when we call it productive multitasking. So a lot of like, I'm gonna open up 7 tabs on my screen. I'm in the middle of something and I've just remembered something else. I'm gonna go do that. Scrolling on social media, juggling all of our different life roles at the same time. So we are distracting ourselves constantly. For me, when I hustle, I find I'm creating less quality and slip into quantity, thinking, yeah, trying to do all the things. We just want to do all of the things. That's another point I was just about to say, so really good. Like there's a lot of effort and a lot of grind. We're really like wearing ourselves down, but also often very self-critical, and we can like ruminate in that self-criticism and that spiral of negative judgment about ourselves. That came up for a few of you in the hustle model we spoke about yesterday. We feel like shit. We feel panicky and anxious and like literally vibrations over our whole body and on edge. We're really attaching to the result that we're trying to create to prove something to us. So, for example, if you don't believe you're successful and you need, let's say you have a business, you need clients to prove you're successful, then what it really means is you're fueling the belief that you're not successful. And you're approaching every decision, everything that you are doing from the belief of I'm not successful. Let me see. Oh, more people have added comments. I didn't even see that. Hustle creates pressure for me and creating from pressure doesn't work. Yes. You're operating out of desperation. Yes. Hi, sorry I'm late. That's totally fine. All good anyway, we're just warming up. Okay, so the last thing that I would say, hello, hi Miriam. The last thing that I would say is a surefire result of like why hustle doesn't work is it's just not fun. We're just not having a good time. We're not enjoying ourselves. Everything feels heavier. Everything takes longer. Every decision is way more critical. We're way more critical. Like if we were to think about, if you could pick a box of like all the things that you would want to help you succeed, none of these things would be on it, right? But we do this. Hi. We do this. We do hustle, and we go into this spin and this spiral of like running after everything and what we spoke about yesterday, which was really like the energetic action, the pushing and the forcing. And who remembers the third one? Why has it gone from my head? The energetic action, the pushing and forcing. Oh, and the discrediting ourselves and deceiving ourselves and putting ourselves down. So that's really what we're doing when we're in the hustle model. And what happens is we end up exhausted, burnt out, we're chipping away at our confidence, we are rushing around. It's literally like, I want you to imagine doing your everyday life with like a bag of heavy rocks. And you're just like walking around doing your everyday life with a bag of heavy rocks. Like it's slowing you down, it's giving you backache. Hands up if you get backache from the stress of hustle. Slowing you down, giving you backache. It's really the opposite of what creates success, right? Now, the reason I wanted to go through that with each of you is because, like each of those specifically, is because if we know what's not working, then we so clearly see what does work, and we just want to go about creating the opposite. So if, for example, so Brittany put, hustle creates pressure, and creating pressure doesn't work, then we know that we want to create ease. One of the big things that comes up a lot with my time hackers is speaking about like, I have to, or I need to. And words like have to and need to, like they are literally pressure creators. And one of the things that we'll do is we'll speak instead about why we want to. That's just an example. Whatever I do to rest or escape it never lasts. Yeah, all short-term thinking. So if we have, for example, confusion, then what we need to overcome it is clarity. If we have doubt, then what we want is confidence. If we are distracting ourselves and multitasking, we want to remove all the distractions. We want to create focus. If we are going at things with like a lot of grind and a lot of effort, we want to be problem solving for how to create with ease, effortless ease, right? If we are in self-criticism and ruminating about ourselves, we want to drop our self-focus into like a service focus. Especially, I know quite a few of you know coaches. So are we self-focused or are we service-focused? Immediately thinking about other people and how we can help them is going to pull us out of this self-critical rumination that's like really one of the heavier rocks in the bag, should we say. We might sort of comments coming up. If we feel panicked, we want to create calm. If we are attaching our worthiness to a result, we want to detach from the need to create the result. If we are not having fun, we are not enjoying ourselves, we want to create fun and create pleasure. Now, all of these things together are essentially what happens when we get into a flow state. Being in a flow state is the opposite of hustle. So I want each of you to think about how you know when you are in a flow state, and even like, have you got an example of a recent time where you were in a flow state? What was it like for you? How was the experience of being in flow different to the experience of being in hustle? Like, how do you identify it? I'm going to give you all a minute to type. I'm actually going to give a fun example while we do it. I don't know why I said fun example, but the example that comes to my head all the time. Because again, it's not about what we're doing, it's about the reason behind it. So I would say, for example, when you are in hustle mode, you like feel hungry or you need a wee and you're like not willing to leave the desk and go get food and go to the bathroom. When you are in flow state, you could also skip lunch, but it's not going to be from a place of like desperation and clinging to, I can't miss a minute of doing this. It's going to be because your brain is so focused and clear in line that you don't even notice that time is going by. You don't even notice that it's been that lunchtime has come. Yeah, Ingrid shared, I feel relaxed, creative. Yes. I give myself a lot more time and space to do my tasks. It feels fun. It's not rushed at all. I have good new ideas. Yes. I know I'm in flow and I've worked and all of a sudden 1 or 2 hours have passed. Time disappears when you are in flow, right? Time isn't relevant. Time isn't the indicator of what you are going to create. Your brain is. So good. Love that, Tracy. When I'm in flow, I feel like the answers I'm looking for are right in front of me. When I feel like I'm in hustle, there's not a single thing that feels like I'm doing it right. Exactly. It's almost like no matter, someone can stand in front of you and tell you like, do X to create Y, and your brain's gonna be like, I don't know, I'm not sure about it. Like our brain just literally switches off. It's actually a really powerful time to see how powerful our brain is. And then on the flip side, when we're in flow, like everything becomes a solution. There's just a solution, and then if that doesn't work, there's another solution. And if that doesn't work, there's another solution. And we move very fluidly. Like I said, we're unattached, we're having fun, we're in service, and we're really committing to our future over where we are now. Because when we're in hustle, we're super committed on seeing results right now. And when we're in flow, we're super committed to like a longer term vision. I'm in flow when I'm certain I can do the work without thinking about it. I just do. Yes, certainty, definitely. So yesterday we spoke about the hustle model, and today we're going to speak about the flow model. Now, if you remember, maybe I should quiz you all. I won't, because maybe some of you didn't come yesterday. If you remember the flow model, the hustle model was all about insufficiency. It was all about fear-based emotions. Let me see if you guys can see this. Okay, it was all, so we had to prove that we were good enough. The flow model is all about sufficiency. Oh. Okay. Oh. So I'm going to run through an example like yesterday, and I want you all to pay attention because this is going to be the work for all of you to do today, is to sit and create your own flow model. So when we think about sufficiency, we can just leave insufficiency as the emotion. But really, what I want you to think about is the opposite of fear is trust. So what we're looking to create here is any trust-based emotion. And some of you came up with, sorry, my writing is actually terrible. Some of you came up with some here. Amazing. Okay, so some of you came up with some here, some very trusting, like trust-based emotions. Like I can just see Bridget. She said certain. So certain is clearly a trust-based emotion. But we're just going to use sufficiency for now. And that can come from a simple thought of like, I have everything I need. Now, I'm not going to be able to fit it all on there. But we could be in the same exact situation that we're in yesterday when we spoke about the hustle and the goal of like, I have to prove that I'm good enough. It could be that you have just launched a business and you have 0 clients. And the hustle model is, I have to prove that I'm good enough. And the flow model is, I have everything I need for right now. Okay, and when you're thinking I have everything I need for right now, and that creates a trust-based emotion, in this case sufficiency, what happens is, if we go to the 3, like the 3 examples from yesterday, so here today, it's focus, clarity, and effortless ease. And remember yesterday, it was force and pushing and dishonesty and running around with rampant energy, like the Energizer Bunny. So, in fact, I should have kept more space for all the actions that we do. So when we feel sufficient, we focus, right? We're not trying to do everything at the same time. We're totally comfortable putting away all of our distractions. We let other things go. An idea can come into our head and we just push it aside. There's no urgency. We trust that everything's taken care of. We're really willing to immerse ourselves in the task at hand. I'm not going to write them all. I'm just going to write the high level here for writing's sake. The second one we want to speak about is clarity, right? When we're feeling sufficient, we have clarity. And what I mean by that is we're making quick decisions. We're following through on those decisions. We're not going into I don't know land. Like our brain will keep giving us obstacles, let's say, and saying like, well, what about this and what about this? And we'll just keep answering and keep being willing to put an answer out there and attach way less to being right. We are going to be thinking big picture, like what we spoke about. We're thinking about the future over the present. We're not going to be doing things like researching and trying to get answers from other people. We're going to be trusting ourselves. We're going to be feeling curious and open. I'm enough, yes. And the last one, the last action, and I put, like, clarity isn't an action. What I mean is focus-based actions, clarity-based actions, effortless ease-based reactions. And what I mean by that is seeing every problem as figure-outable, seeing obstacles as opportunities, having fun, feeling light, not taking everything so seriously, like really unattaching our story about ourselves to what we are doing. Now, the result of doing all of this is that we actually become everything we need, right? We become all we need to problem solve. You notice how in both the examples, it's not about creating a result right away. It's not about who's further along or who's not. It's really about the experience that you have. And so often, one of the things that I see so often with my clients, and was definitely true for me, is we want the result now and we want the result yesterday. And we want the result now and we want the result yesterday because we're still trying to prove that we can create the result. And when we approach it like that, we're immediately in a hustle model. And when we recognize that and drop out of like needing the result and instead focus on that big picture and be willing to like really get rid of all our distractions, go all in. And it's not to say that you need to spend like 8 hours of your day like this, but you would be better off spending 2 hours in flow than 8 hours in hustle. We start to become the decision maker. We rely on ourselves. We trust ourselves. We have our own back if we fail. We don't make it mean bad things about us. We're literally always in the solution mode versus the judgment mode, which is where our brain wants to be. And we can think of like hustle models as like binge working, where we're just like, it's like binge eating except binge working, where we're just trying to work to feel better, to justify ourselves, to justify our value, our worth, our positions, our titles, our careers, our relationships, our health, because we can hustle in all areas of our lives. And the problem that we have with binge working over binge eating is, as a society, it's like impressive. Like I have hustled a lot in my time and I've been celebrated for it. So for each of you, it's not just your brain that you want to change around the hustle and going into flow. It's really going to be being willing to do that in a society that still glamorizes literally hustle. And so I want you guys today to create your flow model. Can you guys see that? Create your flow model. So you can pick a particular thing that you are working towards and see what happens. And especially, you know, if you haven't already, I really highly recommend you do your hustle model as well. That's on yesterday's post. And see what you are able to create when you're in flow. And tomorrow, what I'm going to be talking about is how to create flow on demand. So I really separated this out into 3 separate trainings because we tend to, as hustlers, want to skim right over to the end. So I know this has been like uncomfortable for you all and you want all the answers on day one. This is done by design to slow you down so your brain sits in and takes in the information. And this is the investment you make to slow down in actually taking value from the 3 areas. Because if we did all of this in one training, the 3 days, your brain would jump straight into hustling, how to create flow, and skim over what actually flow is for you, how it shows up for you, and what hustle is and how it shows up for you. So I promise this is in service of you. Now, in saying that, we do have time for questions, and if you want to start creating your flow models or thinking about that, I highly recommend it and celebrate it. And ask me anything. If it's being covered tomorrow, I will tell you it's being covered tomorrow. Yeah, feel free to share questions, comments, all of the above, big takeaways from today. But really, it's like flow is just simply, so for any of you thinking about this, clarity, focus, and effortless ease. That's how we're going to be thinking about it here together. If questions don't get asked, I'll probably pop off. Because it's kind of awkward, you know, to like look at yourself on a screen when no one's engaging. So I'm going to give it like about 60 seconds, and then I'm going to love you and leave you guys, and I will post in the group the flow questions and the models for you guys to create today. Wait, okay, I'm waiting. How do you get to the belief? So we're going to speak about how to create flow on demand tomorrow. So that's a really good question. I'm coming for you. It's like I've really separated it out on purpose because our brain always wants to. You're welcome. Our brain always wants to jump straight into, yeah, but how do I like solve the problem immediately? And this is exactly part of what we're working with here. A brain that wants to hustle to get to a better place instead of being willing to have that curiosity to look around and actually solve for it. And maybe some of you have examples of this in your life where you've like solved something and the same problem keeps showing up and keeps showing up because it was never really properly solved. It was like a temporary band-aid. And this slowing down and sitting in the problem is way more uncomfortable now. I get it. But it's also what cleans it up way more effectively. So now you do the uncomfortable thing of slowing down and sitting with your hustle model and your flow model, and then tomorrow you problem solve for how to create flow on demand. Okay, best ways to keep focused. Eric, I would love for you to answer that. Like, tell me about a time where you've felt focused or experienced focus, and like really get into detail. Because I can give you my ways. You can like Google how to create focus. But why don't you think about when you last created focus, what it felt like, how you did it, what you were thinking, what you were doing, and like write it. If you comment, you know, if you add it to the comments and you have any additional questions on top of it. The reason why that's so important is because when our brain answers questions, we learn much deeper than when someone tells us what to do. Okay, a hustle thought I have is I'm not successful enough in terms of running a coaching business. Success in allowing it to run, in terms of running a coaching business, success and allowing it to run, it needs allowing it to run, it needs money and clients. So how can I separate those when I'm starting a business and I only have a few clients? Here's the thing, right? And I'm gonna say this for all of you. We all use the word need way too loosely and way too often. Like we use the word, one of the things I said earlier on the training, maybe you were here for it, need and have to are instant pressure creators. Every time we use them, we are choosing to create pressure. It's literally like a slot machine. You put in, I need to, or I have to, and you literally create pressure. Like even breaking it down, because our brain uses all these sentences. Our brains are lazy, okay? They like to like stay at the surface level. They're like, we need to, but what does it mean to need to? Does it mean I won't have access to a home, clean water, a roof over my head? I don't have any other money. I don't like, do you see what I mean? We want to get very specific about what does it mean to need to create clients right now. Because when you are, listen, if it works, I would be like, yeah, tell yourself that you need to create it and go create clients. That's going to be the magic, but it's not working. And this is why it's not working. So you want to be really catching onto yourself with those words and those sentences and say to your brain, what does it mean? What happens if we don't create a client today? I literally coached a client on this once, and he said, I need to create a client, I need to, and every day I need to create a client, but he wasn't creating clients. And I said, so you don't actually need to, because every day you're surviving, right? But when we approach it from need, it's literally the opposite of flow. We are directly in hustle, and that's why we're not creating results. Now, it's not to say you can't set goals and create clients, but just be honest to yourself in the language that you are using when you think it's helpful. That could literally be the only reason why you're not creating clients. Okay, what happens when you are without distractions, you're trying to create something but feel stuck anyway? So it's such a great question. Thinking about like, what trust-based emotion would you have that could get you out of feeling stuck? Like a really obvious one could be curiosity. Why am I stuck? What am I stuck about? What's one thing that I know? What's one thing that I could do to move forward? Our brain tends to want to have all the answers when it's in hustle mode, whereas in flow and trusting mode, we're much more willing to go step by step by step. So it's like, well, what's just one thing that I could do? What is one thing that I do now? I mean, really believing it. Thank you. Look forward to tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you all, lovely people. I will drop in the group the flow model. I encourage you all to do them so you come tomorrow prepared and ready to learn how to create flow on demand. All right. Bye, lovelies.